On today's show, why did Jason Kidd go to a zone late in the game against the Suns?
And which player has the same consistency as the Dallas weather right now?
We'll talk about that and what happened down the stretch for the Mavericks to lose the game against the Suns without Luka. We'll talk about that on today's Locked On Mavs.
Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
The Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good! And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and coordinator for the Locked On Podcast Network. And joining me, as always, my co-host, contributor at Mavs.com, the Sultan of Sun, the one more thing king. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
See, this is what happens. You go into games when you expect a loss, and then you get your hopes up.
All your hopes.
You get your hopes up, and you start. You allow the door to be cracked open, and then you're like slowly stepping into it, thinking,
I'm ready to get hurt again.
Yeah, well, no, you start thinking of, how good of a win this is going to be. Like, they're going to be inch closer to the Suns in the standings without Luka, the confidence, everything, and then freaking Devin Booker. My gosh, he's so good.
He's so good. There's also lots of other reasons why the Mavs lost that game besides the Suns.
Let's just say it was Devin Booker only.
We'll get into that. We'll break down the Dallas Mavericks lose 105-98. Close game at the end there. Mavericks were in control most of the game. This episode of Locked On Mavs is brought to you by McDonald's, proudly serving communities since 1965. McDonald's has always been more than just a place to get tasty, affordable food. It's an unofficial community center. Big thank you to our friends at McDonald's for always being there. I'm loving it. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every single day, even after losses. I appreciate everyone listening after a loss right now.
Shout out.
The numbers do go down. We shout out to you guys. Locked On Mavs is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube, where you can watch us right now. All right, let's start with the zone, because that is a big question like on Twitter right now, and I'm sure a lot of people are talking about that. The broadcast was talking about it. Everyone was like, why did the Mavericks all of a sudden switch to this zone on defense late in the game, and then all of a sudden the Suns just started hitting threes out of nowhere? Isaac Harris, tell me.
You want me to tell you why Jason Kidd made a decision?
I think Jason Kidd went to the zone because the Suns weren't shooting well from three. They don't take a lot of threes in general. And so he was like, all right, let me just try something here. I think that's the direction he was going. However, I'm not tempting Chris Paul and Devin Booker, and especially the two guys that are going to be open when you go into a zone like that. Mikal Bridges, who's a 40% three-point shooter. Jay Crowder, who has been an up-and-down three-point shooter in his career, but when he's going, he's a good three-point shooter as well. Or he's the dependable three-point shooter. And I'm not threatening I'm not asking for it from those guys. Like, I'm not saying, hey guys, can you make open shots? I'm daring you to hit open shots, because they will. This team went to the finals last year because they hit a bunch of open shots that they got. And so that's what I do not understand about the zone. And the Mavericks have not run a zone a lot this season. They haven't, it's the Patrick Ewing meme. Do you work on that shot? Do you practice that shot? How many times have you done that shot? Right? It felt like that to me, where like Jason Kidd overthought it. It was like, all right, we're going to try this different. The Suns aren't, the only way the Suns are getting offense right now is kind of like at the rim and it's mid-range stuff. We'll try this zone. We'll try something out, but they didn't run that. And so all the shots the Suns got that were wide open wasn't even necessarily because they went to zone, right? A lot of them were just defensive miscommunications, and most of them, I counted 3, were between Porzingis and Dorian Finney-Smith, just miscommunicating on where the other person was supposed to be, because they had this zone, but then they also had, all right, we're going to play this zone, but if Booker goes over here, then Bullock's going to follow him, and then Dorian follows him if he goes over there. And so then they were switching all kinds of stuff on the back line of the zone, and it just didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, it was Jason Kidd trying to throw a wrench into it, saying, hey, like you said, you're talking about how, kind of daring them to do it. They're 28th in the league, or at least going into this game, 28th in the league at three-point attempts per game. I think right around the middle of the pack, 14-15 in three-point percentage as a team. But they have guys that could shoot the three, like Mikal, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, all hovering around, 40%. That's how they shot the ball last year too. Now, I get it. Here's the thing. I get it if the whole goal of running the zone is to force it to try to make Jay Crowder shoot a three.
Yeah,
been
right.
very streaky, very inconsistent, 31% 3-point shooter this year. And it's like, yeah, he made one in the corner, but you know what? You know who looks kind of smart if he actually misses that, and then
He did miss one. He missed another one later.
yeah, he missed another one. But like, let's say he missed a couple and Dallas scored. You know who looks kind of smart? It's Jason Kidd for running the zone. So you're kind of playing with fire. That's the thing. They play with fire. Let's run a zone whenever they're running guys out there who can hit the three, but we're going to try to force it to Jay Crowder. And it's like, yeah, he hit one in the corner, but it didn't work because these guys can hit 3-pointers.
And the miscommunication between KP and Dorian happened every single time on the short corner, not the far corner either, right? Where it was like the guy closest to the guy with the ball is going to get the ball in the corner and shoot a three. And the corner threes are obviously the easiest ones. So yeah, there's all kinds of stuff about that zone. I don't understand going to it late. I guess I can understand his method behind it, but I don't understand the actual decision. And then the players just didn't execute it well, right? I mean, it's on both. That somebody was saying, well, I hate every time that people complain about Jason Kidd and complain about coaching, it's this roster that's the problem. And I was like, problems can be plural. there can be a problem with something that is more than one thing. Like things can be two things. Stuff can be two things, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, we joke about it on the spot. It's like anybody that we ever criticize or hand blame to, then that person, then there's a crowd that's gonna, you say Luka's out of shape. There's inevitable. We're gonna get DMs or comments. Oh my gosh, why are you hating on Luka? Right. Same thing for KP. Same thing for coaching. People are gonna tweet out, "Hey, the coaches aren't out there shooting threes, so who are you blaming?" It's like it doesn't matter. So
it's and they're right to an extent. There's more than one problem, right? There's not always just like a thing. But I think the Mavericks played really well in this game, and so there's some good things.
Yes. There's
some good things. We've broken down some of the follies at the end, I guess, but I think there's some real positive things we need to get into. But before we do that, let's continue with
the follies. Yeah, because there's one thing that killed me at the end, and I think you're gonna feel the same way about this. KP posting up Mikal Bridges. I love Mikal Bridges. If we're creating a starting five of players around the league that are like my favorite non-Mavs, he's probably
that we're going to get traded to the Mavericks.
Ones that got away. No, but here, the thing with KP with Mikal, I don't know if it was a design play. I don't know, or multiple plays. I don't know if it was just hey, KP. Harp loves to point out that KP on anybody is a mismatch. And it's not a mismatch. I love Hart, but it's just not a mismatch. But the thing about it is KP he can't get position. It's like, that's the thing. It's like push him, force Mikal Bridges. I don't care. I want KP to get an offensive foul for pushing somebody to the floor. He almost did. And I loved it. Like, push somebody out of the way, get your position, and then try to do it. But that last play that they try to force it to him, what happens? They try to throw it up. And I know some people will look at it and be like, oh, that's on the passer's fault because Mikal Bridges jumps up and and hits the ball away, and Porzingis bends down, and everybody's like, why is this not a foul?
Or it should have been a foul.
Yeah, it should have been a foul or something like that. No, that's where a big man has to get the position, get the guy on your butt, push him back, and then you could go catch the ball. And KP's he struggles with that because of his frame and that he's just something that he's got to get better at.
The Mavs went to that three times late in the game. 2 minutes and 20 seconds left. They kept running Brunson and KP pick and roll, which is great. That's what you want. They were running that all throughout the game, and it was working. That's why KP had 20. Brunson, I think, had 20 something. That's why he had 18. But that's how it was working for these guys. Kristaps Porzingis, career high 7 assists. We'll get into the positives later, but all this working off of the pick and roll with those two guys. But late in the game, they went away with what was working. They decided out of this pick and roll, we're going to go with these post ups on Kristaps Porzingis against Mikal Bridges. The Suns were switching, and they're like, all right, we're going to take advantage of it instead of the mismatch on the other side that was Brunson against Ayton, which that wasn't much of a mismatch throughout the game either. Brunson did not have easy time scoring against DeAndre Ayton. But
that lefty scoop over Ayton was filthy.
That was a great play for sure. But yeah, the 3 times going down. So both these things, the zone and then going to KP, posting up against Mikal Bridges, really good defender, super long wingspan, all that. The Mavericks went away from what was working in this game. They overthought it, went away from it, and I think that's why they lost this game. Is those two things on both sides of the ball late in the game, because the Mavericks were flirting. They had leads late in this game, and then they ended up going back and forth, and these decisions ended up losing them, costing them this game. So we'll get into some of the positives, but I think there's a few more things we have to talk about with this team. We'll get into that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about betonline.ag. It's the fastest and easiest way to put down some money on sports. You can go there right now, put down some money on football, basketball, baseball odds, all kinds of stuff that you can get into. Hockey, golf, everything that you can think about. Right now, let's see what kind of NBA games they have on. They have Thursday games. Spurs, Timberwolves. Timberwolves 2.5-point favorite at home against the Spurs. Grizzlies, Clippers. Grizzlies a 1-point favorite at home against the Clippers. That one's interesting to me.
Spicy.
That's an interesting one. Nuggets, 8-point favorite against the 76ers. I think I would take that 8 points with the Nuggets right now. If you want to put down some money on those, go ahead and use the promo code LOCKEDON. Get a 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts. All right, Isaac Harris, let's get into this game. We've been talking about the Dallas Mavericks lost to the Phoenix Suns without Luka Doncic. They played admirably. I thought they played hard. They played well. They
played so hard.
They tried hard, man. It was one of those where, like Isaac said at the beginning, you just get your hopes up because you're like, oh man, they could win this one, right? They could get in this. We've been talking about the things that went wrong down the stretch. There was a part of the game where just the offense at the end just stalled. They couldn't get anything going. They were trying things that were out of sync. And down the stretch, Jalen Brunson actually said after the game, down the stretch, we have to talk better on defense. And I thought that was a huge thing and a really clear thing at the end of this game. The other thing I didn't understand on defense was Booker hit this huge shot, and Tim Hardaway Jr. is guarding him. And I went back and watched the last 4 minutes, and Tim Hardaway Jr. guarded Devin Booker the entire end of the game with both Bullock and Dorian Finney-Smith out there on the floor.
Yeah.
That is another, that's probably a coaching decision. I do not understand that decision.
I don't have anything to add to that. You know how I feel about that. I don't understand. I didn't understand it. I texted you about it right when it was happening. Tim guarding on the perimeter is not his specialty on defense. I would say drawing charges is his specialty on defense.
He got one earlier in the game.
But no, especially, I mean, yeah, you bring Reggie in for those type of things. Like Reggie struggled a lot in this game. He missed a bunny from an incredible pass from Jalen Brunson towards the end of this game.
With a minute and a half left.
But it's like, Frank, if you're going to put somebody to guard Booker, let it be Frank, let it be Reggie, let it be Dorian. Like, there's 3 other guys that are playing tonight that I'd rather be guarding Devin Booker. I mean, heck, it might be further than that. Trey Burke maybe over Tim Hardaway. I just didn't understand Tim guarding him.
Now, Devin Booker made some insane shots too, right?
Oh yeah.
There are times when Tim played decent defense, and you're like, "Oh, Booker just made the shot over him and did a lot." And then Chris Paul doing things late as well. The Chris Paul pass flying out of bounds with 1:27 left was a miscommunication between KP and Dorian Finney-Smith, and neither of them stayed behind or even stayed close to the basket to get Ayton. But Chris Paul had that pass. It was an awesome, incredible pass. You're like, oh, he's way out of bounds. There's no way he's gonna keep this in play. He's just gonna fly out of bounds and that be it. You're like, no, this dude is like 3rd all time in assists. He's gonna get that pass off every single time. But yeah, then Chris Paul had that and one, or that he got fouled on that pull-up shot with like 20 seconds left, and that just sealed it for the Suns. But he did a couple things late after. Chris Paul, I don't think, had a great game in this one. But just Booker and Chris Paul late ended up taking advantage of the Mavericks' mistakes. And the Mavericks made a bunch of mistakes in this game.
Yeah, and even the Devin Booker 3 that Tim was guarding him, they ran that high pick for him. They brought Ayton out. KP kind of dropped a little bit. I honestly don't have the biggest issue with that play because – Tim didn't really get around the screen, didn't, fight too hard to get around the screen on that. And KP kind of dropped a little bit on it because it's so far out from the basket. Like, that was a long 3. So KP's not quick enough to jump that and to say, hey, we're like, Devin would just, drive right around him. So he played it smart. It's just, Booker just hit an incredible shot from, probably 28, 29 feet. And that was kind of the story of the night for Booker, in my opinion. Like, I thought Frank guarded him really well during stretches, and he was just hitting it right in Frank's What, do you disagree with this?
Can we talk about Frank yet? Can we talk about
your face? I was like, what? I thought he played him well.
Another thing, I thought he did too. Frank, I have been the front of the I've been the front man of the Bullock band, the leader of the Bullock Brigade. Frank Ntilikina, if we're just basing it off of play and performance in this game, and even performance as of late, the last couple of weeks, Frank should have closed the game over Reggie Bullock.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. But, I mean, okay, should Frank close the game if he's not going to guard Booker? Because Hardaway did.
Yeah, and Bullock didn't guard Booker either. So that's another question. But I still think that Frank Ntilikina should have played over Reggie Bullock, which is crazy because one of them was a day, like an hour one free agency signing, and the other one was a, like a minimum contract, didn't get his rookie deal extended, free agent, which is just, it's wild that this has become what it is. Frank's been better than Reggie Bullock recently.
Frank Ntilikina tonight, 3 for 3 on threes. He's just, I mean, I feel like
confident.
He's confident. He plays really good defense. I mean, I feel like we're almost locked on Frank at this point. Besides just locked on Luka, but I absolutely love Frank. He played 18 minutes in this game. I mean, give me more. Like, why is it Frank playing 25 minutes a game? And I mean, I think he should be playing that, especially with Luka out. Like, he should be playing over 20 minutes a game right now, not just 18. So, I thought Frank played well. But it was going back to that Booker. Like, he defended him really well. Booker's just that good at shot making, and he's just hit tough shots. The freaking shot under, like, the scoop under KP.
The Dr. J move he did around Porzingis.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of MJ a little bit, too. It's like, I mean, that's just – you just have to wipe your hands off it and just go on and be like, hey, tough shot, man. That's what you do.
What other positives in this game did you see?
I thought Dwight Powell actually.
I remember what I was going to say. There was a moment where Devin Booker clapped at Frank Ntilikina because of the defense that he played at him. I think he was like giving him applause because he played him so well, but Booker just hit a shot over him. There's a moment in the third quarter where you can see Frank Ntilikina plays incredible defense on him. Booker just hits this, tough fadeaway shot, and then as they're going back down the court, Booker is clapping at Frank Ntilikina, and I was like, is he taunting him? And then I was like, I don't think he is. I think he's just clapping because Frank did a good job defending. He was like, nice play. I just hit that over you. I could be wrong about that, but I felt like that's what it was.
My tendency leans towards he was not complimenting him, but
I mean,
I wonder if they guarded each other in the Olympics inning. I wonder if that was anything. But
yeah, in the comments, remind us if they did. There's probably some moments there, but yeah, I remember that as a moment where I was like, oh, they replayed it and they showed it again, and I was like, I think he was giving him props on that.
Yeah, no, but back to what I was saying a while ago, like I thought Dwight Powell played like a lot of. Here's the thing, we joke about Dwight Powell. It's just like his hustle, and he's a great screen setter and all that. Like there was multiple plays tonight that Dwight did out of hustle, out of trying hard, that resulted in good things for the Mavs and. Like good, like actual plays that happened right afterwards or because of that. So, I mean, his stat line tonight was 3 points, 13 boards, 3 assists, but made a lot of hustle plays. And I mean, I know it's a cliche. I know people listen to it and like, oh, this is so dumb when you praise somebody for working hard, the professional athlete, all that stuff. He tries so hard. He plays so hard. You notice that tonight.
And Jason Kidd is now playing him backup minutes, right? He's not playing him starters minutes. He's starting him, but he's playing him 17, 18, 20 minutes a game. And so that's the role that he's in now. He's starting him as a, human meat shield is what I've called him for those bigs to not get KP in foul trouble. And that's what it's become. And it's fine. It's working now. Yeah.
Can we talk about another player or do we need to go on another break?
Let's go positives. What else we got positive?
Oh, okay. So we had a big time shot. Now we had a big time shot happen at the end of the third, and I am so happy for the better of the team, for the teammates, the organization, everything. Trey Burke took the shot at the end of the third, and it was huge. I mean, it was a huge play. I thought it was a great shot. Clutch shot.
I'm not doing this bit 2 days in a row. Trey Burke provided.
I'm talking about this like good.
Trey Burke provided some good offense off the bench. 10 points for him. He came in, hit some shots, like you said. maybe they could have used a little more Trey Burke in this game.
He gave him a boost.
Everyone can get a boost now. Jalen Brunson, almost a triple-double, 18 points, 9 boards, 9 assists. Jalen Brunson I thought was really good in this game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, JB was great. I mean, he didn't, give him that injection of the offense like Trey did during Trey's 14 minutes, but I thought Brunson was he played 36 minutes tonight, 18 points, like you said. He had I joked about it earlier, but that lefty scoop, he got Ayton on the switch, ISO'd it out, went left, obviously, because he's left. It's a strong hand there. But didn't even get to the basket. He just scooped on the run, just threw it straight up in the air, right in. I love JB this year. Well, I mean, we could be locked on JB too, but
yes. And coming up, we will be. I'll get into why Jalen Brunson's game was so impressive. We'll talk about that. We'll also get into Kristaps Porzingis' game. What went right? What did not go right for Kristaps Porzingis? We'll get into that coming up. All right, Isaac Harris. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every single day. Locked On Mavs is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube at Locked On Mavericks. We've been talking about Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson, again, 18 points, 9 boards, 9 assists, just 3 turnovers as well. Massive game. Jalen Brunson played so well. You imagine you go to a show, a musical, a play or something, and you're expecting a certain performer to play or to be out there to perform. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, they got sick. It's the understudy. And you're disappointed. But by the end of the night, you're like, that was pretty good. That was really good. Jalen Brunson in the Luka Doncic role performed almost as well as we could have expected. He maybe could have shot the ball better. He maybe could have been more aggressive, taking even more shots because we're just used to seeing the ball handler for the Dallas Mavericks take a bunch of shots. But Jalen Brunson played, I thought, as well as he could have played in that role, because there was times in this game when Brunson has the ball, he's ISOing, and there's no one moving. There's no passing lanes being open. And obviously, if no one else is moving, then the Suns defense is just staying. And so there's no driving lanes to be had. Yeah. There's no moves he could have done to get by the defender in front of him if no one else is moving and creating space, because guys are just standing there watching him, right? And so all that said, against a really good defensive team in the Suns, I thought Jalen Brunson played a really good game.
Yeah, you look at after the game, post game, Kristaps Porzingis was asked about Luka being out, and especially in that clutch moments there, because even Brad, I think, mentioned how Mavericks have been 5-0 this year in the clutch. Yeah. They missed Luka in this game. They definitely, this is Luka time, right at the end of this game when it's such a close game. But he asked KP about it, and KP's first reaction to not having Luka in the clutch or in this game was, "Hey, well, we have JB." And it just showed this confidence in, Porzingis and this team, and JB is hey, we feel like JB can run the, and it wasn't a shot. Luka, it was just more of a confidence thing to JB of hey, JB stepped in. He can run this team too. He can run this offense and make these plays. So it just, I love just that instant trust that he showed in that moment. And he obviously expanded on that. He's I feel like I can make those shots, those plays too. It was more of a, hey, there's no excuses here. We take the blame because we had enough to win. We just didn't play good enough. But I loved how he answered with Jalen at the first of that.
And the way Brunson, some of those plays you're talking about in the second segment, he can get by guys. He can finish around the rim. He can stop and, the dribble handoff with Porzingis. And Porzingis even mentioned a play afterwards where Brunson does that thing where he stops, turns a little bit, and then just goes again. He can get by almost anybody. And he's doing that against starters, against finals level players in the Suns. He's doing it against some of the really good defenders in the league. In starters, he can do it against anybody. This is not just a Brunson can play well against second units, and if he was a starter, it wouldn't work for him, right? He can get these shots off against anybody, and he's proving it right now, and it's been incredible to watch.
And you look at his shooting splits this year. He's shooting, over 50% from the field so far this season. He shot 34% going to this game. He shot 50 as far from the 3-point line, and he shot 50% in the game. The team, another positive overall. The team shot 50% from 3 tonight, 16 of 32. So little dip in as far as attempts per game on that.
They should have taken like 10 more threes, right? If that's the one thing that was keeping them in this game for a long time. And then they just sort of, another thing that we talked about at the beginning, they went away from it. They just stopped taking as many threes. Tim Hardaway Jr. or Dorian had a wide open three late in the game that he just swung to Tim Hardaway Jr. for no reason late in the game. He could have just taken it.
Yeah, that's something I would like to see, especially if Luka misses a few more games. I want to see this team shoot more threes. They're averaging 39 3-pointers a game as a team heading into this game. That is 6th in the league in 3-point attempts. Tonight, they only attempted 32 threes. And it's like, you shot it at a high clip. It goes back to this Mark Titus rule, that throwback to the Titus and Tate podcast back in the day. But he used to have this whole theory. What?
I think that pod still exists somewhere.
Really? Well, they went.
Yeah,
it was like Titus and Tay or like one shiny.
Nobody
pod.
listening cares about this. Yeah, keep going.
Anyway, Titus used to say he used to have this thing, and I always remember this. He said there shouldn't ever be a player that should be averaging, or they're shooting like 40%, or they end the night shooting 40%, over 40% from three. Because that just means they didn't shoot it enough. If they're shooting at such a high clip, they should be shooting it so much. And that's the thing. It's like, if Dallas was shooting at such a high clip tonight, 50% on the night, they should have shot more threes than just 32. I want to see him over 40. I want to see over 40 3-point attempts when Luka's out.
Mark Jackson does not want to see that. Neither does Jeff Van Gundy.
I could care less what Mark Jackson wants.
Both of those guys were like, oh, they should, just jacking up threes all the time, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? If you hit him at a 50% clip in a game like this, you should be taking more.
Who's not worked as a head coach in a long time?
So we talked about Brunson. We've talked about Ntilikina. Both had positive games. Powell had a positive game. Kristaps Porzingis, 21 points, 8 boards, 7 assists for him. He was just 7 of 20 from the field, 2 of 7 from 3, 5 of 5 from the free throw line. What went well for Porzingis in this game?
I mean, I thought he looked confident. I mean, he had that one play, maybe in the third, maybe in the fourth. And he got the ball on the left wing and was just like, all right, DeAndre Ayton, let's go. You watch, if you could clip these plays and then just push them together into this like Ball is Life House of Highlights clip for Instagram, you're like, is he not the best player in the league? Yeah. He had DeAndre Ayton on the switch. Does these crossover dribble moves like he's, KD out there, just long two. Probably a bad shot, but just drained it, goes down the floor. I'm like, dude, you're so feeling yourself right now, like confidence-wise. But you like seeing that confidence out of him. So I just think that he's confident right now. I want to see more 3-pointers from him. He only attempted 7 in this game. I would love for him to hover around the 10 mark. But it was like, it's that you don't like that? You don't want that?
No,
especially when Luka's out?
I mean, the threes that he's taking, though, are like 30 footers. Like they're way beyond the arc. And some of them, it's because there's a couple times in this game, Brunson just handed him a bomb, and it was like late in the shot clock, and he had to just chuck one up.
I don't blame him for that one.
I think probably 3 of those were those. So if he takes like open threes, I'm 100% in on that. But the threes he was taking tonight, I don't want him taking like 5 more of those.
No, I want him shooting 10 threes because I want him to be playing the pick and pop so much. Like you mentioned at the beginning of this pod, it's like they went away from the pick and roll with Brunson and KP. Brunson, one of the best pick and roll guys in the entire NBA right now. I wish they would have just stayed with that early, or late in the game. And as a result of that, it should open up more 3-pointers for KP. If he's getting some open threes at the top of the paint or top of the key, let's do this.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on it for that. But his passing, I thought, was just such a positive thing.
Yes.
The pick and roll, him finding the open guys, hitting them for threes, guys finally hitting those threes. Career high in assists for Porzingis in this game. His career high was 5. He had done it a couple times just with Dallas, but he had 7. He had 7 assists in this one. That's become a new thing. There's only been like a few things ever that I've disagreed with Zach Lowe about the Mavericks. And one of them was Porzingis, just not a good passer. It's never been part of his game. He just can't do it. And I'm like, I don't know. I've watched a lot of Porzingis games now, and there are games when he knows how to make the right play, right? And he passes the open guy. He's not just like this chucker that just throws up a bunch of shots and posts up and forces things. He forces things every once in a while, but he doesn't do it every single time. He passes and hits the open guy, and the Mavericks made it work for him in this one.
Yeah, I think about the Justin Jackson, Harrison Barnes comment when you think of Zach Lowe take that. No.
Hey, we kept track of everything we were wrong about. Some of you guys do.
Some of you do. I was going to say some of you do. Shout out to that.
Can't win them all.
Hey, we've done 1,200 pods. If we've
I saw the Bulls lost tonight. I don't know how well they did.
What about that play? He should have had another assist tonight. It was late in the game. KP was driving across the paint, and it's like it felt like it was going to be a contested shot by KP right in the middle of the paint, and it's like one of those. It's like, all right, dang it, bad shot. Dude was driving across the paint, kicked it out to Reggie Bullock on the move, and I'm like, there you go. That's a solid pass. Now Reggie's confidence right now, it doesn't seem like very high because he was open and he didn't take the three. Instead, he passed it to Tim in the corner. And Tim was like halfway double team, had the force of three, missed it. But I'm like, great pass by KP out of that, drive.
That play you were talking about was Dorian. Dorian should have taken that three, and instead he kicked it over to Tim in the corner. Yeah.
Well,
still though, taken the three. Still, he should have. Either one of them should have taken that open three. We've done the Willie Cauley-Stein thing several times, but it was the most apparent in this game that Willie Cauley-Stein was not. Yeah, he's not giving them anything. Right. Just go small. Just go small.
Here's my thing. I don't do this hardly at all when it comes to players not playing.
He does not.
I don't do this just because it's very tough for me. He shouldn't play. He just shouldn't play. Like there's no other. I don't get it. Let's throw Moses in.
Just play small. We've already done it.
Yeah. I don't understand the Willie minutes right now. But you know what? Let's project a little bit to the second Phoenix game.
Okay.
Just real quick. I'm kind of scared because this feels like this was the game to get.
The Mavs had their shot.
The Mavs had the shot. Chris Paul couldn't hit, the ocean with a beach ball. And then he kind of turned it on at the end of the game. But it feels like that was the shot. And I'm scared for Friday night, feeling like Phoenix is just going to bounce back. They've seen the Mavericks run their thing without Luka. Now they're like, all right, cool. Well, we're going to make our shots. Please play zone again. Chris Paul's going to hit shots. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong, but I'm kind of scared going into Friday.
The other thing is Landry Shamet going to come in and hit a bunch of threes again?
What did he finish with tonight?
He was 3 of 7. He only had 11 points. I think he got them all in the first half. But also JaVale McGee, is he going to come in and do the same thing? The Mavericks should change up what they did.
JaVale McGee. I went down a whole rabbit trail of it, like his whole career tonight, because Followell and them were talking about on the broadcast, and I'm like, all right, I'm intrigued. And I started looking at him like Tim McMahon's best friend. Let's do this. And what?
Sorry, you don't have to respond every time I make a.
You just lean back and grab your hair.
I forgot I could watch Valley Sports. I'm back in Dallas. I don't have to watch ESPN's broadcast anymore. Sorry.
You just act like you forgot the. I don't know. Close your garage door or something.
I didn't have to sit there and listen to Dave Pash talk about his podcast that he interviewed Jeff Van Gundy on. I'm like, oh yeah, here we go. Let's have some old guys talk about a podcast that they did together on this broadcast.
They were together and they talked about a podcast they did together.
They did an interview on a podcast earlier in the day, and then they talked about it on the broadcast. Now we're two white guys talking about other white guys doing a podcast. I'm done talking about it, but I remembered I could watch Valley Sports now. Okay, I'm done.
To be fair, we reference our old podcast a lot, but we're not live that often. But anyway, they're talking about JaVale McGee, and I was like, what an intriguing career. 14 years. This is his 14th year. He's 33.
Crazy.
3-time NBA champ, gold medalist. And just like the dunk contest stuff, Shaq used to make fun of him all the time.
JaVale McGee.
Teams he was on, former Maverick. And he's just like
God, I forgot that.
Yeah, he's just like carved out his spot kind of in the league. And hats off to him. I like seeing careers like that. Long careers, they stick in the league, and he's still effective. I mean, he's better than Willie.
We will have Brendan Clean on tomorrow to talk about Suns. He's our Locked On Suns host. He's great. He's a really smart guy. So we will talk to him about the Phoenix Suns, and we'll hopefully talk about how the Mavs can actually win another one. But we'll talk to him tomorrow. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
No!
Boom.